Hello, I'm Lydia, and you're listening to Lens from the Fens. Hello everybody and welcome back to Lens from the Fens in the year 2021. I hope that all of you had as good as Christmas and New Year as you possibly could. As at time of recording, a lot of the UK has gone back into tougher restrictions following Christmas, and it could be that it carries on for quite a few months. It means it's still the winter months. But I hope that you are all well, hope your loved ones are well, that you're keeping safe and staying at home when you can. So I thought I'd begin this episode with my last few sightings of 2020, one of them being the female sparrowhawk that has been visiting my garden, and I actually managed to get the first clear shot of it sitting on top of my shed roof. The lighting was really nice. It was close to sunset time, so it was a nice golden colour on her, and she just sat on there for about 10 minutes or so. And then she flew off into the wooded area to the right of the garden. So that was really nice to see her quite clearly. I've only seen her flying into the garden, trying to grab one of the birds in the hedge, but didn't succeed. So it was really nice to get a clear shot of her. And then close to New Year's Eve, I think it was a couple of days before New Year's Eve, I ventured to the riverbank, about 5 minutes from my house, so very local. And I was initially going to search for the short-eared owls because they've been really popular again this winter. I didn't find them, but I did find a pair of barn owls that were hunting across one of the farmers' fields. The lighting was pretty poor, so I didn't get the clear pictures, but I wasn't too fussed about that. I was just very glad that I managed to get outside and see the barn owls hunting just before the sun came up fully. I do plan to go back to the riverbank in the next couple of days to either get some better pictures of the barn owls or hopefully find the short-eared owls as well. For Christmas, I actually received a photography-related Christmas present from my fiancé, and that being a huge standing pop-up hide. I think he didn't have a good idea of the size, and it wasn't until I opened it and we popped it up that we realised it's like 6 foot tall and could easily fit 2 people in at a squeeze. So it comes with all the camouflage netting on the outside, with 1 door and then 2 zip-up windows, so I could sit down and prop up my camera facing up one of the windows while still being covered. I have yet to test out the water resistance of it, and it is actually raining at the time of this recording, so I might end up taking it out in the garden just to see what the water resistance is like. But it's sturdy, it does feel really sturdy, and it comes with tent style pegs. So I'm really excited to take that out with me going into the new year, and I'm considering taking it out to my last location where I did my walk, talk and shoot, which was along Scout Island near Deeping St James, up along the River Welland, and it sort of ventures through to Deeping Lakes. And bordering on that side, there's some farming land, which is potentially a good place to look for hares or birds of prey, as I saw a buzzard last time I went there, any jackdaws, magpies, or similar species. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to take it out along there, and just see what I can see while being fully camouflaged. I think my first walk, talk and shoot episode will actually consist of me using the hide for the first time. It will most likely be that location because I know that there's definitely various amount of bird species I can see there. Hopefully there'll be some roaming deer going across the fields. So if I'm able to use that and sort of blend it in with the surrounding hedgerows, then that will potentially be a good spot and location to visit in the future, and also be in that location for a longer amount of time without risking myself being seen by any species. So as mentioned in my previous episode, I am planning to conduct more serious projects rather than going out and seeing what's there. I've actually wanted to research the species close to home, where they can be found, what kind of location or habitat they're more suited to, and just to better prepare myself for what environment I'm going to be in. The camera settings are correct for the conditions in terms of the lighting, and also just to really think about what sort of image I want to get out of it, and just avoid relying on the possibility of seeing a particular species. Also, as I just said at the start, there are tighter restrictions in place around where I live, so I will be sticking to as local locations as possible for the time being until the situation changes. But by sticking local, it might actually result in finding locations that I haven't considered before that will benefit the species that I'm searching for. And there are definitely locations that I can return to that I haven't visited for a long time. So being more closer to home for some of my projects isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means that I have to find what areas are closest to me and then just research better into what sort of bird and animal species would frequent to that area. So throughout the time of planning my projects for 2021, I've had quite a few inspirations from other photographers that have helped me to thoroughly plan out what type of images I want to get and the species I want to search for. One of those photographers being Morton Hilmer, who I mentioned in my episode where I talked about who inspires me most. You can catch up on that through my Libsyn Lens from the Fens website. So Morton Hilmer, he's experienced and trained in the Danish military special forces, and that sort of experience has actually helped him to travel to the most remote locations on Earth, photographing polar bears, Arctic wolves, musk oxen, but he's also actually used it in his local woodland patch. I admire the vlogs he creates as well as his images, and although his journeys quite often shows that not everything may work out straight away, but by keeping on track, learning from your mistakes, then it can potentially result in getting an image that you set out from the start, and that's something that resonates with me quite strongly. So if you're curious into seeing Morton Hilmer's work, you can find him on Instagram and on YouTube, where he does some really nice natural vlogs. It's not so much the type of video where there's lots of background music. It's all very natural sounds, so you'll hear birds, you'll hear water trickling, and then he'll also conduct behind the scenes images. So he'll talk a bit about what he was looking for intentionally, what did and didn't happen, and at the end he'll show the images that he got from that vlog. So it's definitely worth checking out. Just going back to where I received my hide for Christmas, I would actually really like to hear if any of you listeners have received either a camera or some sort of photography equipment for Christmas, and that you plan to find your own species that you've longed to get a photograph of. Or if you've already got that image, I would absolutely love to see it. Just to anyone local or not local, if you wish to send your images to me, what your story was behind it, how you managed to get that picture, then yes, I would definitely love to see it. You can either email me, which is lensfromthefens@gmail.com, or you can private message me through Facebook or Instagram, just searching Pinfall Photographic, and yeah, just send me your images. So another thing, while I have been planning out my projects for this coming year, one type of photography that I've picked up on recently is the possibility of doing some camera trapping in local places. This will allow me to see what species visit after dark or just before dawn, and it will simply mean that I won't have to go out as much in order to see what species are close to home. So I think because I'm sticking locally, if I manage to get my equipment sorted for camera trapping, then I could always test it out in my garden first or in the local woodland just up the road, and yeah, just to trial it out, because I've never tried any sort of camera trapping before. So it'd be interesting to see what images will come out of using this type of equipment, and then just to get a sort of taster of what species come through at night time, because this sort of area I haven't seen or known other people to have seen things like badgers or foxes, especially going down like the main road or any side streets. So it'd be really interesting to see if that is the case, or if there is actually a few individuals who frequent to this location, and down the line I could potentially get a image of them. It doesn't have to be set out in stone what exactly I want it to be like, but just to get an idea if there are any specifically mammals close to home, even coming through my garden, then yeah, it would just be really nice to see if that's the case. So just to give you all a heads up of what my next few episodes will consist of, I will definitely have my next walk, talk and shoot episode recorded in the next week or so. And again, that will most likely consist of me testing out the photography hide I received for Christmas. And following on from that, I will probably start to go a bit more in depth about the species I am hoping to photograph over the next couple of months or into late spring, early summer. One of them I'm pretty sure I could possibly get in the next couple of weeks, that being the otter. There's been a lot of recent sightings close to where I live, so I will definitely have a good chance of finding a specific location that they're frequently seen at, and that again may consist of me using the hide again if it's quite an exposed bit of area. But yeah, it would be nice to actually do like a little profile chat about interesting facts about possibly otter and other species down the line. It's all a bit uncertain right now given the new coronavirus restrictions as to where I can travel to, and just considering the area where I'm possibly going to be photographing, whether there will be lots of people going through there, because people are still allowed to go out on a limited exercise, ideally locally. So I'm trying to plan as far ahead as I can, but obviously given my safety and other people's safety in mind. So it is just something to consider at this point in time, but I'm still pretty hopeful that I can conduct at least some of these projects that I've planned out from last year, and over time hopefully get some really nice pictures out of it. So as I round this episode off, the skies are now clearing, the rain has passed. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my camera out in the next hour or so back to the riverbank, because if it stays as clear as it is, then it's possible that I might be able to find either the barn owls or the short-eared owls. So that will probably be my plan for this afternoon. Also, just to touch up on my photography blog that can be found through my Pinfall Photographic website, I have added another one of my favourite images from my portfolio, which is actually the short-eared owl that I found along that same bit of riverbank that I will be visiting soon, that I photographed a couple of years ago now. It was my first ever sighting of it, and I just talk about what events led up to finding that bird, and yeah, just my genuine feelings at the time I photographed it. So be sure to check that out. You can find it by visiting the Pinfall Photographic website and then clicking on the link that takes you to my Medium blog, and you will find that story and other previous stories relating to my photographic work. So with that, I thank you all again for tuning in. I'm still very optimistic about what this year will hold for my photography, and I would be thrilled if you would stick along with this journey, possibly listen to the highs and the lows of what comes out of it, and I will be speaking to you all again very soon. Goodbye for now. My podcast cover shows my own image created using Canva. The theme music is provided by Purple Planet Music. Check out their royalty-free music at purple-planet.com.